when you're in the corporate world, it is like working for the weekend. And then if you do go start your own business, it becomes working on the weekend. But
So true.
if you have a personal relationship with them as well, it's a bit more like, oh, well, I know you.
It's strange, Dan, because we don't really talk about this. Is the first we've ever spoken about this, and you're in South Africa right now, and I'm here in London, and it's very similar.
Just in the UK for your brand, what is your best Amazon sales day?
In terms of revenue itself, for that one particular day, it must have been just under.
This is a conversation with Harks Kohli. He's the co-founder of Vemacity, a brand he has built online. In their best month so far on Amazon, they did £375,000 in revenue. In the first part of this podcast, Harks and I focus on business. So I'm asking Harks the hard business questions. How did they begin their brand? Where did its story come from? How did they scale? What were the challenges, and how can you replicate the same? And then in the second part of this podcast, we go a bit more general. What's it like building a brand, building a business? What changes do you have to make, not only professionally, but also personally? Harks is definitely someone you can learn a lot from. I hope you enjoyed this one. He's not only an excellent business owner and brand builder, but he's also someone I call a friend. And I've actually asked him to co-host some of these podcasts with me once I'm back in the UK. But I hope you guys enjoyed this session as much as I did. And here he is. Tell me about your brand.
So my brand's called Vemacity. So what we really stand for is we specialize in gin-related products. So we don't actually sell the gin itself. So when I say gin, I mean like gin and tonic, not like gym. Even though I am a big fan of going to the gym as well. But we don't sell the alcohol itself, but we specialize in gin-related products. So all of our products are designed to be really giftable, and also they're designed by gin lovers. So me and my business partner, we're really big fans of the alcohol gin. We've been drinking gin for many, many years. And yeah, that's what we do. You know, we design products that other gin lovers or other people, gift buyers that actually know gin lovers would buy our products and actually either use the products themselves or give them to other people. And we kind of like specialize in like glassware, so handmade drinking or gin glasses with accessories. We do like gin making kits where you can make your own flavored gin at home. And we've just expanded into a whole range of different gin cocktail glasses and accessories and kits and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a bit about Vemacity.
I mean, it's an awesome brand now, and you've come so far, but what were you doing prior? So before you began this business, what were you busy doing? And then what happened? Like, what made you start your own business?
Yeah, so I'll take you back to like 2016, 17. So I was working in the corporate world. So I'd worked for a very large IT company. And that was at the back of completing a computer science degree at university. So that's kind of like what I was getting into, computer science. And I actually landed a really good, well, on the grad scheme with a big IT company called Fujitsu. It's a Japanese company, but they're quite big around the world. Yeah, I joined the grad scheme and I started working my way up the corporate ladder. And actually, in fairness, I was doing pretty well. Finished the grad scheme and got myself into a really responsible job, role within the company, working with different clients. And to be honest, it was really good. I was thrown in the deep end, as you do get thrown in the deep end, but that's the only way you learn. I was managing a very large service, running the day-to-day side of things, and you know what, it was a great experience. But at the same time, it got to 2016. I remember I went traveling around Africa for like a month with some friends that I'd met like in Brazil many years ago, and we just kind of like, they're from Belgium as well. They're not from the UK, and we just met. We stayed in touch as you do when you go traveling and stuff like that. You meet some awesome people. And we just said, let's just go somewhere. We decided to go to southern parts of Africa, so Namibia, Botswana, and then some parts of South Africa as well. And we went for like a whole month. So I used to basically put all my annual leave together and do like a one world travel kind of adventure, like once a year, whilst I was in the corporate world. And I remember coming back, I had the time of my life in Africa, and I remember coming back to the corporate world, had thousands of emails to catch up on, as you can imagine, going away from the corporate world for a whole month. And I remember just coming back, it just didn't feel right. I was like, I've had the time of life in Africa. I could wake up, do whatever I wanted to do. I had like unlimited decisions I could make for that day of how I want to enjoy the day, how I want to live that day. And then when you come back to the corporate world, you got to work. You got the same routine where you wake up, you rubbing your eyes, you're tired, your alarm clock wakes you up. You don't really want to be up at that time. And I used to get into work at 7:30 in the morning, so you can imagine how my routine used to be. Wake up, have breakfast, have coffee, all that kind of side of things, and get ready and put my contact lenses in the morning. My eyes are still red, bloodshot. And yeah, it was tiring, that routine. And after work, come home, get ready, go to the gym, and then do my meal preps and ready for another day. I was Monday to Friday, non-stop, and then live for the weekend. And I said, I want to break out of this. I can continue to this. I can keep working my way up the corporate ladder, but where is the end? Is there ever an end to this? So I decided late 2016, early 2017 that I want to change my life. I want more time, money, freedom, just the ability to do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. And that only comes with, if you do obviously have the money to do that, but also the reoccurring money, I guess. So that kind of led me to look for different business ideas and stuff like that. So I guess that's where it really started. It was a kind of frustration of the corporate life, which made me think and reflect. I want to do something different in life. I want to live a different lifestyle to all my friends and colleagues and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how it really started.
And it's funny because when you're in the corporate world, it is like working for the weekend. And then if you do go start your own business, it becomes working on the weekend.
That's so true.
But to that, that bigger end, to that bigger goal. In your case, you're striving for more freedom. So it came from traveling, having more freedom, and then really wanting that for the rest of your life and giving up a lot of that now so you can have that later. And I think that's actually very important for a lot of people is go travel, go do other things because it could, open you up to opportunities like it did for you, Harks, and kind of set you on this new trajectory. So
I totally agree. I think everybody should go travel. Life's too short. You should go do some fun stuff in life. Just pack a bag and go choose a place and go. Then I've done that a few times. And it's great. But also, Dan, it's not just the traveling's one thing. It's also coming back to that same routine and seeing where does it really end. And looking at my boss was really, really awesome. I'm still in touch with him. He's an amazing guy. And I used to get into work before me. He lives an hour and a half away from the office back then, and he was the first one in, last one out, and yeah, he had nice cars and a really nice house as well, massive house. He used to invite us over in the summer for barbecues, but he never spent any time with his family. He never spent any time in his house. Enjoying it. He was always on the road. Traveling an hour and a half each way to work, staying at work before anybody else, and then leaving, the last one to leave. So it's just like, wow. And that's what kind of really made me think. I was like, well, I could continue up my where I'm going in the corporate world, but where does it stop? Do I really want that lifestyle? Nothing against, again, my old boss. Like he's an amazing guy. And those decisions that he made at that time, I was like 26. And I said, I'm young. I've got nothing to really lose. I still live with my parents. And, what's the worst thing that can happen if I start my own business? I have the drive. I really show it every single day by waking up and going to work, working really hard, and then going straight into the gym and working for a solid hour and a half, 6-7 days a week for years. I've got the dedication, the drive. So if I don't do it now, I'm going to probably look back in 10 years time and probably regret that. I should have done something myself.
100%. And it was actually that main character from Breaking Bad. I think his name is it Bryan Cranston?
I haven't actually watched Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Oh man, you're so lucky. You have a lot ahead of you. That's an awesome series. But he was actually giving his advice for youngsters, and a lot of people take like a gap year after college or what have you, or after even school. He was saying the big thing is go travel. And he explained what he found when he went and traveled and how that set him on a trajectory to become an actor. And that's how his career actually started. So I think that's huge. And something else I want to jump into with you, Harks, is that you have a business partner, Kabir, who I believe was your friend prior to you guys starting the business. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, shout out to Kabir. I know he asked for a shout out, so here it is, mate. He's probably going to be listening to this later on. I met him back in 2008. Yeah, 2008. We were good friends for over 10 years, and we met at sixth form, and we were in the same group of friends, and yeah, we just hanged out quite a bit. Like each other, and we just became really good mates. And when we went to university, different universities, we stayed in touch, and we used to always come back in the summer. Again, same group of mates, just to hang out.
And then like with that, you guys obviously went into business together because now you guys are partners in this business. And this is like a really interesting aspect of business is like, should you do business with friends, with family? Is that a good idea? Because it always seems like a good idea at the beginning, but we've all heard the horror stories and been warned about doing that. So I just want to hear from you, how has that been? Not in a personal sense, but just, does that strain friendships? Would you do the same again? And then just simply advice for people on that. Should they work with a family member or friend? And what should they look for within that family member or friend?
Sure, absolutely. I get this a lot as well. People do ask me, and to be honest, I'll speak completely from experience. It's not easy from going from like friends to like business partners, because when you're friends, especially like I've said before, we like our gin and tonic, we like a lot of alcohol, and when you're with your mates and stuff like that, it's all fun. It's all, you're there to have fun with each other and joke around and have a good time. Obviously, when you're business partners, it becomes serious because this is your livelihood now. Everything that you do on a daily basis, this results in, obviously it's your livelihood at the end of the day. You don't leave the corporate world just to go and start a business for fun and then you have no other sorts of income. So we've had the ups and downs for anything. There's pros and cons, and I certainly feel the same in terms of having a friend or family member as a business partner, because it's tough. You have to manage friends. I would say that's probably the hardest thing for me. Like, if you've got like deadlines or things to do, it's pretty difficult to say, sorry, mate, like this was supposed to be done 2 days ago. I've been waiting for this, or this, we're behind now. Or like the same thing as well, to be managed by your mate as well when your mates chase you up and stuff like that. Right? In that sense, it's pretty difficult. Obviously, there's great things from it as well, in terms of you're doing something together. If you're going to do something and change the life of another person on the same journey of you, of course you want it to be a family member or friend as well. But my advice is, if anybody's thinking about it, just make sure that you guys are really open before you even form a company, and just say, why are we doing this? Why are we starting a business? Are we there to make money? Are we there to make an impact to the world and other people? Is it both? And just set out what is this and why you're doing it for, and you really kind of understand where the other person's coming from, because if they have a different viewpoint of why they're getting into business and it doesn't kind of like fit into what you're looking for, then at the start it's going to be a bit difficult, or it might not work out. And even just like talking about like my family as well, I've tried to do stuff with my sister and stuff like that, like property related things. It hasn't really quite worked out. Obviously, time, she has like a proper job, and like, I do business, so I have kind of a bit more flexibility and stuff like that as well. So there's always going to be like, it's not going to quite work out. But my advice is, if you're thinking about getting into business with a friend, a good friend, or a family member, just really understand where they're coming from, see kind of like their work ethic, their drive, their commitment, their determination, and why they really want to do it, and set your goals out from the start. In terms of just kind of understand this, we could be in this for the next 3 years, 5 years. Would you still want to do this? What do you want to achieve financially, and why is it important to you? And just set it all out and just be open from the very start. You don't want to like rush into something and then a year later you're just like, this ain't going to work out, and then you're kind of like, you left your job, or you've done you made these big decisions, and then you have nothing really to fall back on, or not fall back on. It's just, was it time wasted? Was it effort wasted? And stuff like that. So I think it's just really, really important from the get-go, before you even get into business, to really have that conversation. Just go for a beer together or a coffee together, and actually just really understand each other's viewpoints of what you want to get out of it.
For sure. And actually, I do some business with family, because obviously my brother, he's very integral now in the business on YouTube, etc. And now the RODCAST, the podcast. And so I know exactly what you mean in terms of it's a very different relationship, but I think it is a bonding one, because there's hardships, and actually the personal relationship being there makes it harder, which makes that bond even stronger if you can work through it. But the problem is when someone you don't have a personal relationship with tells you what you need to do, you just like, okay, this is what I need to do. But if you have a personal relationship with them as well, it gets taken more personally. It's a bit more like, oh, well, I know you. So like, it changes it somehow. So
It's strange, Dan, because we don't really talk about this. Is the first we've ever spoken about this, and you're in South Africa right now, and I'm here in London, and it's very similar. What we're saying right now, even though it's like slightly different, businesses and stuff like that, or different like tasks and stuff like that. And in relationships, you and your brother, obviously me and Kabir being friends, but it's very similar because we have that relation, the kind of like the connection already for such a long time. So I think it's quite common across a lot of people that are doing things either with friends or family.
yeah, and some people are just like very good. Like I think I'm quite good at this, is separating the personal and professional. But some people struggle more with that. So I think what you're really getting at is you've got to be able to accept there's a difference there and just work with each other and put kind of your personal emotions aside when it comes to professional, and the business comes first. Doesn't matter about your feelings or what's going on. It's about the business when we're doing this. And then when we're personal, it's got nothing to do with the business. I would add to this is that one of the most critical is in the very beginning is laying it out that, if you don't enjoy it down the line, you can come to me, we go our separate ways, but it doesn't touch our personal relationship. I think that's like a very critical thing to have right at the beginning, but easier said than done as well.
Easier said than done, but I've learned loads. Honestly, I've learned loads. Could I do it again, knowing what I know now and my experiences? Probably not. It's tough. It's tough, and I wouldn't want to go through this like similar things. Like I said, we have the most amazing moments, and we're probably going to have our most amazing moments in the next couple of months or the next 3-4 months. But also, there's been some tough times which have really tested our friendship. So, would I want to do that again with another friend? Probably not. Would I want to go into business with somebody that has the same work ethic? I don't have like a proper long kind of history with them. Maybe known them through like business meetings or networking events, and I feel they're very similar and we want to make a big difference to the world or something like that. Yeah, I would probably explore that option more.
And then you have started your business based on e-commerce, Vemacity. And so why did you choose e-commerce instead of something else?
Well, to be honest, the truth is I wanted something that could run itself. I wanted to create an automated business model. That was what I wanted to do. I was working, obviously, when I was in the corporate world, I was managing a very large engineering break fix service. So that means when an IT hardware or something like that in one of my clients' stores, and they had 800 stores with that hundreds of different pieces of equipment in each store. When one thing broke, there was a process, there was a system that ran like clockwork. We had teams that managed different teams and got everything in place. And I was like, okay, it's not perfect, but there's something there. And I knew that whole kind of process inside out. I knew how it all worked. And that's obviously why I kind of like managed it. But at the same time, I wanted to build something that if I'm not around, it could still work. You don't need like too many people, but with the way that e-commerce is these days, you can build the infrastructure and allow it to run a bit like clockwork. And that's what I was kind of like on the hunt for. And I came across the term passive income and I wanted to explore that a bit more. And my goal was just to build an automated business model. And I started looking online, I started researching, and I came across, as we both know, Mr. Seth Knight from Austin, Just One Dime. And yeah, I saw some of his YouTube videos, and he mentioned passive income, building an automated business model. And that was through building a business on Amazon. And that really fascinated me because at that point, I didn't really know that people could sell on Amazon. I've been an Amazon customer since 2008. So, it's been a long time, but I used to think back in the day that Amazon sell the products, which they do, obviously. But I didn't know there was an opportunity for third-party sellers, like people like me and you, to actually have an opportunity to sell on Amazon as well. So that really opened my eyes, and it was something that I really explored. And other things like which I've now got into, like property investment and stuff like that. I thought you always needed a lot of money for that, and I thought the easier thing to do is to get into e-commerce and see where it takes me. So that's how I kind of really started. And it's quite funny because I remember when I was starting this off, even before Amazon came into the picture, it was either launch a product on like Shopify or own website, whatever platform that may be. And I drew on a flip chart how I wanted the business to run in terms of, there's a platform where you sell, you have your suppliers, you ship it into a fulfillment center. When an order comes in, the fulfillment center receives the order, they ship it to the customer. Any returns go back to this place. And I started building this out. And then when I found out about you can sell on Amazon, and Amazon do obviously the FBA, so they take care of all of that, I was like, well, this fits perfectly in terms of what I had in my head. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I looked at e-commerce, and then obviously go into Amazon as well.
Awesome. And then you mentioned a couple platforms there. So obviously you're selling Amazon FBA, but where are you selling your products? Where is your brand sold overall?
Yeah, so mainly in the UK. This is where we have built our brand. This is where a lot of gin drinkers are. A lot of them are based in the UK. We started here just to make things a bit easier. So we sell Amazon UK. We do a bit in Australia as well, because we had a bit of extra stock at suppliers, and obviously China and Australia is not too far. So we decided to do a bit of a test there, see how it goes. We're looking to launch in the US early 2022, given the shipping prices come down a little bit and it makes it a bit more cost effective to do that. And also we sell on other platforms like Etsy. We do a bit on eBay as well. There's a few other smaller online marketplaces here in the UK which we sell on, which do pretty well over the Q4 period. And then also we do B2B as well. So we do get emails from time to time from corporate companies or other companies, or the various types of businesses that reach out to us and say, hey, we've seen your website, we've seen your social media, we really like your product, we're looking for X amount of sets of this product, can you give us a price? And then that's our B2B model, which we're starting. Those are the kind of stuff that we do. It's mainly online on Amazon in the UK, but we do sell on other online platforms as well as the B2B offline as well.
Epic. I can't wait for you to start in the US, because if you've achieved this in the UK and just in Europe, compared to what I think you're going to do in the US, it's going to be insane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes. In terms of Amazon, because we've got a lot of Amazon sellers watching and listening, just in the UK for your brand, what is your best Amazon sales day?
No surprise here, but it was the build up to Christmas last year. I think it was December 22nd or one of those days in the 20th, just before Christmas. This is when it really got a bit crazy. And I think we got up to 800 sales in that day. It might be slightly less, but for us, it was just incredible. Just see, you refresh your Amazon app on your phone and every second, there's another sale. It's just absolutely insane. And the great thing is that we didn't actually discount our prices at all. I know a lot of people run sales and stuff like that. We didn't. We did some things on Black Friday, but on that particular day that I'm talking about, we were fully priced, and we increased our price to just take a bit more money as well. In terms of revenue itself, for that one particular day, it must have been just under 20,000 in terms of sales for a 24-hour period, which is actually insane when you think about it.
So what is the dirtiest competitor tactic that you guys have experienced, primarily on Amazon, if you could focus on that piece?
It's crazy, the world of Amazon. We've had various copycats. Some people copying our exact product, minus like our branding, our logo, pretty much the same color box that we've done, same design on it, same types of same product. Basically, you think about how uncreative some people can really be, but luckily for us, we know that these could be Chinese sellers. Most likely they are, and they don't do very well, because they don't really understand. First of all, they might not understand how to do Amazon, but also maybe language. But we've had, probably 2 or 3 kind of people that really copied us. We're quite lucky. We're ahead of the game. We've got over 1,000 reviews for some of our listings. That helps. The rankings are already there. And as soon as they get a few negative reviews, they're pretty much out. Their rankings drop, and then they're just nowhere to be seen, and they don't really go again. So that's a lucky thing for us. But at the same time, it's just so crazy how some people just go and try copying your exact product or your product. So yeah, that's pretty much the nastiest thing somebody's ever done, or competitor.
For sure. It's actually painful. It's like your work, it's like your creativity being replicated. But I guess it's the nature of the beast. So with your niche, I think it's very easy for sellers to look at your brand and say, oh, well, it just fell into place. Like you've got this perfect niche choice based on your hobbies, etc. But if you were starting again, and if you could talk about how you did begin, you didn't just go straight into the gin niche. You had to work to get there. So if you could just give some advice to sellers on, how did you start? What types of products did you begin with? And then how did that morph into a gin focused brand?
Yeah, cool. So when we were starting, we started probably like a lot of listeners here, in terms of doing like product research and just seeing what's out there, you know, seeing what different niches there are, different categories on Amazon, different marketplaces. We were kind of going to most certainly start in the UK. That was pretty much a given for us. So, you know, we did our research here in the UK on I think it was Amazeowl was the tool that we used. I think we used a bit of like Helium 10 as well back in the day. We cited maybe like 7 to 10 different potential niches, and from there we kind of like had particular products that we were looking at, and we just did like a full market research to see this product is this fits into this niche, you know, what are the pros and cons of entering this, what are the competitors, is it way too competitive, can we actually build a product which differentiate ourselves, which ain't too easy to replicate, and you know, can we actually, do we have a chance in here? And we basically narrowed it down to like 7, then 5, and then in the end it was a bit hard to choose, but we went with our gut, and we said, listen, in the gin side of things, we love the alcohol, we know more about this than other things that we're looking at. And we were looking at all sorts of things, you know, we were looking at all like sports and outdoor related things, we were looking at other homeware, kitchenware products. We stuck to something we kind of know, and to be honest, the competition was a bit less as well, and the numbers looked pretty decent. You know, I wouldn't say it was as high as something else, but we said, you know, it's a good starting point. And, you know, we just said we can actually build something here in this niche, which is different to what other people are offering, different to some of the bigger brands that we're going to be competing with. It was a riskier decision as well, because it's, at the end of the day, we do a bit of glassware as well. And obviously glassware is fragile. You know, it's not like you're shipping like a phone case, which is, you could drop it, it's not going to break. That's one of the whole purposes of a phone case, right? Whereas like glass, as soon as it's dropped or it's damaged in transit, then you could potentially write off your whole inventory. So, you know, we knew that, we took the risk. We thought it might put some few people off as well, and so that's how we pretty much started. You know, we started with our first set of products, and then it was going well. So we just said, why don't we create variations of this product? Then why don't we create similar products in this niche as well? And that's how we made a decision to basically just stick to the niche and this, you know, build a brand around what we're doing.
Harks, how long did it take you to scale? So let's say, how long did it take you to get to £10,000 a month? And then at what point did you first hit £100,000 a month?
10,000. I think we did that within our first 3 or 4 months. You know, when you launch a product, it's all about, you know, spending quite aggressively on PPC, and getting your rankings going and that kind of side of things. So we were focused on that, but we actually did pretty well. You know, our launch was quite successful. Before I get to you know, some horror stories and stuff like that, which we had when we were starting, but you know, I think we got to like 10,000 within probably 3 or 4 months, which is quite nice. Obviously, that does not mean profit. So anybody listening, that does not mean I was putting £10,000 back into my pocket. It just means revenue, sales. Of course, you know, we had to reinvest a lot of our money that we were generating back into the business, so we can order more stock, pay for shipping, and so that side of things. So that's sales. We actually had a really successful first Christmas, 2018. We launched in around April 2018. Our first Christmas was December 2018. And actually, that's when we hit our first, we hit 100,000 that month. And it was nice to see, you know, we've never seen those kind of numbers before. And it kind of makes you think like, wow, I did that. Like in a short space of time, you know, I've now left the corporate world. I left the corporate world for a year at that point, just over a year. And actually to see those kind of numbers on your screen, just like, whoa, I did that, you know, which is obviously quite impressive compared to the corporate world, which are doing lots bigger numbers, but this is your own business and it's just nice. So yeah, it probably took us that first Christmas. Obviously it helped. We got the uplift in sales during that period. So that's not a normal month that we normally do. Even today, we don't normally do that. But over that Christmas period, that was really nice.
Awesome. And then tell me your business horror story.
Yeah, okay. So, right. So we had just launched, as I just mentioned, we had just launched our products. We were on a massive high, you know, just loving it. And, you know, I remember we got hit by a few, you know, 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 negative reviews like in a row. Like, whoa, what's going on here? And obviously, when you're starting, your listings are quite vulnerable anyway. So to get any negative reviews, it hurts you quite a bit. And we're like, whoa, 3, 4 negative reviews, what's going on? And we looked at what people were saying, and they were saying, you know, on our particular like glasses, there were like, you know, big marks, scratches, and it just looked like the box was really not in a good shape. Or like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, we've been launching, we thought it was going well. Maybe we took things for granted. And yeah, it was just a massive kind of like a shock to the system to say, whoa, this is the reality of our products, you know. I think at the start we were just worried about damages because that was what we were kind of concerned about. Like, it's fragile, you know, products are still fragile, you know, that doesn't change, you know, there can be something that happens on the container or whatever, and you just, you know, there's a whole load of damages. But so that's what we were concerned about. So we were like kind of like checking to see if anything is damaged, but at the same time we didn't really go into the deep end of things and look at all of our glasses and other things that we were doing, and just see if the product is up to standards. And yeah, so what we ended up having to do is we took that feedback on board from customers, and we just basically stopped our listings on Amazon or listing, because we was only one product at the time, and we basically made a decision to remove everything, you know, remove all of our stock from Amazon, take it back to our houses, and yeah, just go inspect everything ourselves, and whatever was good, send it back into Amazon. Whatever wasn't good, which was quite a bit, we had to dispose of, which was quite, you know, it hurt, especially when you think, oh my God, I'm doing so well, and yeah, you're not doing as well as you think you're doing because the product's not up to standards.
Oh man. Okay, and then with this whole process, building this brand, was there ever a moment when the penny dropped, when it went from kind of trying to make this e-commerce thing work in some way, shape, or form to actually building Vemacity and building this brand, this company? Was there a moment when you knew exactly what to do?
So going back to 2019 now, so a couple of years, we had to make a really important decision on what we do, because we were obviously, we just come at the back of Christmas, our first Christmas, done really well. You know, we thought we did really well, and you know, we were looking at our new products. You know, we had at that point we had our first product with a variation, and in 2019 when we were doing our product research, you know, we started looking at all sorts of things again. You know, beauty product. I don't know why we were looking at that, but you know, makeup brushes and stuff like this. And again, we were just looking at the data, you know, we were trying to see what we did previously and how to chase the data and see what could work. And we were doing all sorts of, you know, product research on various different things. And we ordered like a whole lot of different samples from different suppliers, all different products. We're doing number crunching. And we just took a step back and say, wait a minute, is this the right thing to do? Do we really want to dilute by Vemacity and have all kind of like a whole different range of products, you know, home and kitchen, or you know, that kind of side of things? Do we want to dedicate Vemacity to that, or do we want to kind of see what else we could do in the gin side of things and build a brand? Because we were thinking about building a website as well at that point, and we're like, wait a minute, like, what is the brand message here? You know, what we're trying to tell people, what Vemacity is. And at that point we just said, you know what, this is where we made a decision and to say, let's actually build a brand. Let's build something that, you know, we're gin lovers ourselves, you know, let's build something for other gin lovers as well. Let's really make that our key marketing message, you know, from by gin lovers for gin lovers. All the products designed are from us to delight other gin lovers. So that's when we made a decision to build up Vemacity. And you know, we started building our social media. We, you know, on Instagram, on Facebook, and started building our email list, had our website, trying to get sales through there as well. And this is where we kind of really said, let's make Vemacity an actual thing. Let's build a valuable asset, because who knows what the future holds. You know, I'd rather have an asset like a brand identity rather than something that just sells all sorts of various things.
So in terms of building out this product line, so you know your niche now, you know what you want to do, you know the brand and more of the brand's message, but are you using one supplier? Are you using multiple? And what are you kind of doing when you find an idea or even create a new gin product idea? What's your process there? Are you drawing it out? Are you designing it on a computer? Are you discussing that with your manufacturer? What are you kind of doing there in terms of your strategy on now expanding the product line and the partners to that?
It's changed. Strategy's changed so much. So first of all, just to answer your first bit of the question in terms of do we work with multiple suppliers? Yes, we do. Now that the product line has developed, we do all sorts of things. We don't just focus on one particular product or type of product. We do various different things now. So that requires different suppliers. You know, some of them are based in China. We have suppliers here in the UK as well. And yeah, some products are fairly easy to put together because we use a main supplier and then a secondary supplier to provide whatever, if it's accessories or stuff like that. And then that supplier will basically send the goods to the first supplier. They'll basically package everything together and help us load it onto the container. Whereas there are more complicated products where we have some stuff done in China and then some stuff done in the UK as well. Some sorts of elements added in the UK. So we either do that in-house. We have a team to basically receive the accessories or the components or the packaging, whatever it may be that we fit onto the container as well, and we get the components from the UK. And just put it together basically and create a complete set. So it really does depend. Obviously, when we were just starting out, everything was done in China, but we want to always improve the product and we look for quality as well. So there's some elements that are better sourced here in the UK rather than China. So that's how we do it. In terms of strategy, how we approach things, Kabir does most of that. To be honest, he's more of the product development person. We started just looking at the data. What does the data tell us? But as we've grown now and the brand, we say, what actually do people, target audience people, want to see for our products as well? Like, what is the demand? What are they asking for? Now we've got social media. We can ask our audience. We've got 10,000 followers on Instagram. We can do polls. We can ask them, if we were to launch this, what would you think? What do you think of this? We're testing this out. And this is kind of like the way that we do it now. We come up with the ideas, we see who else is doing it. Not so much on Amazon. We try doing our product research on Amazon, but also off Amazon as well, because we want to grow the brand off Amazon, not just purely on Amazon. So kind of see what other people are doing, and we always kind of get inspired, but at the same time, we don't want to be the people that copy other people, because it doesn't feel good when it's done to you. So we look for inspiration. We use a bit of inspiration. Just looking at some of the big department stores as inspiration. And seeing what they're doing, what other people are reacting well to, and then we try to bring our own ideas to life and use certain elements as well. So that's the way that we do it. Yeah, it's great. When it works. When you design a product and you launch it on Amazon or your website and it starts doing well and you get reoccurring sales, it's a nice feeling. And you say, wow, okay, that one, we designed that one pretty well. That looks great. And also, like when you get your product photography done, we use professional photographers to do that photography. Just when you say, wow, that's our product, we designed that, and we're going to be in thousands of homes, by this date. So it's a nice feeling. So yeah, the strategy does always change when you're starting off, I guess. Just focus on what the data says, and also try to, we always made a conscious decision based on, we said the more complicated we make our product, the harder it's going to be for other people to copy us. So that's why we kind of added, made it a bit more complex, having a main supplier that specialized in this, and then having a supplier that specialized in this, and making them work together, because then it makes it harder to actually replicate that product. So it was all kind of like a strategy based thing that we thought out, and now we try to make it even harder for people to copy it.
That's awesome. And then Harks, with that, what's really interesting to me is the building out of the social media as well, which I think is really powerful. So if you could give some tips to sellers on building that side of their brand, how do you handle that, and how do you build that out for a physical product brand?
We didn't start with 10,000 followers. I think at the start of this year we had probably around 2,500. So we've gone quite aggressive with building that out, and yeah, we've got a good strategy in place. And I guess the main thing is provide great quality content. And I knew that I couldn't do that. I'm not that great when it comes to photography. I'm not that brilliant when it comes to the captions and stuff like that. That's why on my personal brand it's a bit easier, because you just be yourself. Whereas if you're creating a product based, you kind of want to show that you guys are the experts when it comes to what you're trying to talk about. And we outsource that at the start to somebody that absolutely loves gin and could talk about it, and has loads of different bottles sent to them by distilleries and stuff like that. So they have lots more content. I kind of like the business side of things when it comes to running a business, and whereas content is not my speciality. So we kind of outsourced that. Didn't want to make it too time consuming to do it in-house, because we were doing everything by ourselves, shooting videos, creating content, and putting it on social media. And now we've employed somebody who's an absolute gin lover. He's amazing. His name's Dom, and you'll see his face all over our Instagram if you want to go check it out. Yeah, he's amazing. He's loved gin for a long time now. His content is amazing. All the photography that you see on Instagram is all him. So he's wonderful. And he's really good at engaging with people and building a good solid following as well. So with his help, and the strategies that we put in place, we've been able to go from a couple of thousand followers to 10,000 right? And we get really good engagement as well. You know, the amount of likes that we get, the comments, the interaction that we get as well is really, really solid compared to the industry standard. So yeah, it really does help us. And what we want to do is we want to build communities. You know, we're moving away from just selling on Amazon. We're trying to build a strong brand that can work off Amazon as well. Yeah, so I think having a good, solid community on your social media platforms is really, really key. I think when people are starting off, I don't think it's as important when you're starting off. Like, for example, if somebody's thinking about getting to Amazon FBA right now, I wouldn't say go and start a social media. I would say get your Amazon bit right first. Get your product launched, get it selling, you know, learn from your feedback, go and reinvest into more inventory and kind of like get that going consistently. And then once you're at a place where, you know, it's working, and now you want to kind of say, how do I build this brand off Amazon as well? Or how do I, you don't have to build a brand off Amazon. You can use your social media to tell people about your brand on Amazon.
For sure. And if you guys do want to learn how to do that, go check out Vemacity's Instagram, link below as well. You can see the awesome posts they have there and how they're actually building an audience off of the physical product brand, which I know a lot of you are interested in, and you have to give them a follow. But then Harks, what about tough decisions in business? So what has been for you the toughest decision that you've had to make with this business so far?
Yeah, I mean, we've had loads of different tough decisions. I feel like there's a tough decision every single day. sometimes like today, you know, but it's just a life of an entrepreneur and a business owner. But yeah, I guess this year, to keep it more like recent, because I've talked a lot about what's happened previously when I was starting off, I guess to switch up a little bit. This year's been pretty challenging, I guess. Last year was great. We had the lockdown, which meant increase in sales, you know, throughout from like April time till December. I guess you know, this year it's not lockdown. We're back to normal life. But we had to make a decision, you know. I guess Brexit has had a lot of implications on business, and one of them is the whole kind of shipping logistics side of the world, which has gone absolutely crazy. I'm not sure if, you know, maybe your people that your listeners that are doing Amazon or just any business will know about it. For other people that don't, there is basically a massive shortage of containers, or lack of containers in supply in China. And what that means is the shipping lines can dictate what they want to charge for container space. And yeah, we knew that we wanted to grow this year, which meant that the products that we had just launched at the end of last year, we wanted to restock on those. Obviously, our existing products, we wanted to restock on those. And, you know, we set a goal of launching 5 or 6 new products this year. And that means that if you're going to do it, you're going to have to get quite a bit of, you know, stock in, which means more container space. And we've always kind of had our own containers, meaning with our freight forwarder, we could, you know, we don't really share containers with other people. We just have a full either 20-foot container, or what we normally do now is, you know, 40 foot, or we were doing 45 foots at one point when they were still available, and now it's really hard to get hold of them. But what we saw is at the start of the year, you know, prices were creeping up a little bit, and, you know, we're hearing of delays and shortage of containers, and, you know, we estimated what it may be based on what our freight forwarder was telling us, but we calculate that we will need around 10 containers just for this year alone, you know, just to get us through Christmas, well, all of summer, and then Christmas, and then potentially into Q1 as well, which we are stocked up for Q1, which is quite lucky of us. But now, you know, now we're paying, you know, around £18,000. So that's pounds, not dollars or any other currency. That's British pounds. Whereas before, you know, you could get a 40-foot container. If I'm doing 40-foot to 40-foot, just comparison, before you could do like for £4,000, £5,000 door to door. You know, you're always going to expect a bit of delays. This time you're paying £18,000 for the same container space, but now hit with extra delays. So what normally takes around 6 weeks, and they call it 6 to 8 weeks, it's taken more close to 12 weeks at some point. Just delays. And, you know, we already manufactured, you know, all the stock that I'm talking about, you know, 10 containers worth, and we had to make a decision. Do we go ahead or do we not? We decided to bite the bullet and go for it. You know, it's risky. It's a bold move, especially with products that we haven't launched before or sold before. We don't know if they're going to do well. Yeah, it's a bit risky, but at the same time, you know, I guess in business, you have to take a bit of risk. You have to take calculated risk. We calculated and said, you know, if it works big. And obviously with this increase in prices, you know, we're hoping that come Christmas time, the competition may be a bit less as well, because there may not be other some of our competitors that can handle these increasing prices, they decide to sit this Christmas out, or their shipments get delayed, which is what everybody's seeing at the moment, delays and stuff like that. So there's we've taken a bit of we made a really big decision there, a bit risky, but hopefully it really pays off. And I'll let you know in January to say if it's paid off or not.
Please do. And then with the freight, how are you handling that? You've obviously scaled up your freight to do, if you did 20 foots, then 40 foots, etc. Are you using a dedicated freight forwarder, or how do you handle that side of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we've stuck with the same freight forwarder from the get-go, really, from our first shipment. And it's all about building relationships in business. And I feel that we've built a really good relationship with our freight forwarder, and that takes years of relationships to build, basically. And we always rely on them. We feel that they're going to provide us, will look after us in terms of providing the fairest prices and stuff like that, even though the whole industry is an absolute mess right now. But yeah, that's how we've done it. We kind of like scaled up. We didn't need 40-foot containers at the start, but now we have various SKUs. It's just quite easy to fill up a 40-foot container. That's why we need several of them, and that's why the costs all tally up. But yeah, that's how we started. You don't need to do that at the start. Our products are a bit too big volume wise to do air freight. Otherwise, if we were to have smaller products, then air freight is an option at the start as well. And to be honest, I haven't actually looked at air freight quotes or costs because we don't really do that in our business. But I'm sure if there's similar prices to what they were a few years ago, they're probably going to be very similar to there's not much of a cost saving when it comes to sea shipping anymore then, because they're probably going to be very similar. So something to consider for people listening here. Do kind of see, do your product, is it more cost effective to do sea shipping with an increase in container prices, or can you get away with air freight? Does that actually work better for you? Even though in general it's supposed to be more expensive, but with these increase in price in containers, it could actually work out the same. And plus that means you get your shipments a lot quicker, no real delays. And yeah, that means you can restock or launch products much quicker.
And Harks, if you were starting again today, what business would you want to start? Knowing what you know now, what would you begin with and why?
So I'm doing other things as well, apart from building Vemacity out. I'm doing various things in property as well, which at the end of the day is a business, even though it's a property investment, like buying buy-to-let properties, doing them up and renting them out. It's still a business at the end of the day. I run it as a business anyways. But the thing is that I would probably, knowing what I know now, I would probably keep things really simple. I would probably go again, not straight after Vemacity. Maybe I'll take a bit of time out, do other things. And if I was to get back into Amazon, I would basically build a brand purely on Amazon. I wouldn't bother just so much. We've really focused on building a website, doing SEO, Facebook ads, Google ads. We're doing lots of blog posts and things like that. So we're doing a lot of things for our own brand off Amazon. But to keep it really simple, and I think a lot of your listeners will like this, is that you can build a brand on Amazon, get really good sales, get really good rankings, reviews, all that kind of stuff, all natural ways of doing things, and build a brand on Amazon. Like, don't get away from building a brand. I think it's very valuable to have that. But I would do that, but also plan my exit from the company from day one. So I would set myself a target of how much net profit I would like to achieve by a certain date, and then put a multiplier on that and say, cool, if I was to reach this net profit within, again, you probably won't look at exit within the first 12 months. I think that's, for somebody buying it might be a bit risky. You could have a fluke year. Like, a lot of people had an increase in sales last year, and obviously it's seen a bit of a drop this year. But at the same time, maybe go for 18 months, 2 years, automate it as much as possible. And yeah, basically just look for an exit. And that's obviously, nice money there as well. So that could be something that I do in the future. Yeah, I think that's maybe something I'll do.
And if you were to choose your top 3 business models, what would those be?
Again, I can only speak of what I've been exposed to. There's lots of things in the world. Some things I don't have interest in, some things I do have interest in, some things that I want to do but I just don't have time. But definitely, number one, business model, Amazon FBA, but with an exit in mind from day one, like I've just explained. So that's number one. Then I'll probably do something that brings in a lot of cash flow, like on a monthly basis. When it comes to Amazon, you're always trying to reinvest. It's a bit frustrating, even though you're growing more and more. It's hard. It can be a bit difficult to take money out of the business on a reoccurring basis, just because if you want to launch new products, you're going to have to find the money from somewhere. If you want to double your stock, you got to find the money from somewhere. If you want to, pay for this increase in containers, you have to find the money from somewhere. That could be money that you would have been taken out. But at the same time, you think, all right, I've got to focus about the business and how can I keep growing this? And of course, all the activities that you do off Amazon as well, like like for example, we have a Shopify site. If you're going to do, you're going to hire an agency to do your SEO or like your ads, that's all money that comes out. You got your overhead start growing. So it's a bit difficult at times as well. But that's why I would go for a model where you have a bit more reoccurring income, or you can scale quite substantially. So I know a lot of people that do rent to rent, and more particularly rent to service accommodation. So when I say service accommodation, I mean like Airbnb, Booker.com, those kind of like things where you basically have a property, you do it up, and you do it up to a standard where you can have guests. So instead of renting it on the private market and having tenants, you basically have guests, and they pay on a nightly rate. And the beauty of this model is that you don't need to own the property. So you're not actually owning the property and doing this. You're basically working with landlords that are tired of looking after the property. You're basically giving them fixed guaranteed rent every single month, and you're basically managing that property. And it could be for 3 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 12 months. It depends what you write in your terms with the landlord. And what that means is you're basically giving them a fixed income, so they're happy, but you're taking that property now, and you're basically making it into like a service accommodation. And now you're charging guests on a nightly rate, which the income of that is so much higher than, first of all, what you owe the landlord every single month, minus all your bills. You're still left with, in the UK, in certain areas, you could be left with, depends how nice you make the property and how much demand there is in the area, the competition, similar to Amazon, demand, competition, and your product at the end of the day. But, I know people that are clearing $1,500 to $2,000 per property every single month. And when you have 10 of those, which is quite easy to scale up on, because your startup costs are low. You're not investing in lots of stock. You're just going to give the landlord X amount per month, and you got your bills to cover and stuff like that. But apart from that, you can scale this quite quickly. And, imagine that just over 10 properties. I'm not saying all of them will be fully booked throughout the whole month and you'd be clearing 2K. But imagine if you get close to that, 15,000, 16,000 of pure net profit every single month, and you can have teams that run that. So that's something I would look into. I've looked into this for quite a bit, but at the moment I just focus purely on Vemacity. And then also, as an investor, I look for different investments. I buy properties, I do them up, I let them out, which is quite nice. Obviously, it can be hands-on if you don't have a letting agency or management company in place. But I would actually do that model, but with a long-term lease with either the council or a housing association. And what that means is they normally pay, not so much the councils, but the housing associations, they normally pay a lot above market rate. And they basically manage the property, and they give you that kind of income over, guaranteed every single month for, 3 years, 5 years. So it's a long-term lease, regardless if the property is full or empty, they'll basically give that. So yeah, I mean, that's as passive as it really gets when it comes to property, and also it's an investment as well. You'll get that recurring cash flow, and then you obviously got the long-term capital appreciation if you're investing in the area which has a lot of growth projects and stuff like that. So you benefit from recurring guaranteed cash flow for 5 years, as well as capital appreciation on your asset. So top 3.
Awesome. And then what is your opinion on work-life balance? A lot of people talk about having a balanced lifestyle, mixing doing work, but also, not doing work. For someone who wants to be successful, start a company, make that change, what's your opinion on having balance in life?
At the start, and I'll be completely honest, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for, people like, The Rock, or, all these guys that talk about, like, working hard, hustling, and all this kind of stuff, and the hardest work in the room. I could just speak for myself, what I've been doing since 2017. And yeah, when you're starting a business, like it's very hard to have a work-life balance, because first of all, you're excited about starting a business. You're obviously starting a business for a reason. It's exciting. You want to leave your current life behind, or kind of make it even better. So you're quite excited about the prospect of starting a business. So naturally, you're going to want to spend more time, researching and getting more involved and doing things, so that's the exciting part. So at the start, I was still in my corporate job. I started thinking about Amazon or like e-commerce in general, just starting that business back in probably maybe like April 2017. I left the corporate world in October 2017. So I was going to work, I was going to the gym in the evening. I would spend that time that I had after I do my meal preps, just do the hour and a half in the day before you get into bed and you start that routine again. Just getting excited, just making notes, doing things, researching, talking to suppliers or agencies, whatever I'm trying to do at that point. And then the weekends are just basically more dedication, because you don't have work on the weekend. You might have to do a few things depending on how busy you are at work, but you actually have your Friday evening, your Saturday, and your Sunday to say, oh, this is my time now. I can really focus on my business. So your work-life balance kind of goes out of sync. And that's obviously a good thing. The more out of sync it is, it shows that you're doing something that you need to do. And then for me personally, it was only till start of last year, or maybe summer last year, where I said this is getting a bit too much. I'd probably been working not just on Amazon, that bit, not Vemacity, but other things that I was doing, just like things that I was doing in other businesses and other things as well. It got too much. I was working 7 days a week, probably for a couple of years, and to be honest, it was fine for me. I was okay with it. I used to enjoy opening my laptop on a Saturday or Sunday and just say, you know what, I'm getting ahead of everybody else. Everybody else is chilling in the pub or something. I'm basically getting ahead of everybody, and I use that to my advantage. I used to tell myself that, and for me that worked wonderfully well. But at the same time, I knew that I was missing out a bit on life as well, the enjoyment, and I became a bit too much of a workaholic. Everybody knew me as the workaholic basically, and it's fine. It's a good name to have. It's a good reputation to have. But at the same time, I was burning out. I got to that point where I was actually burning out, and I couldn't even focus properly on some of the key things that I need to focus on. Couldn't make decisions as quickly as I was before. I just wasn't the same. So I was just like, all right, I got to obviously stop doing some of the things that I'm trying to do as well, and just really kind of streamline my life and actually have a bit of the evening, have a bit of the weekend to just chill out. And now I don't work on the weekend so much. I maybe do a few hours on a Saturday or a Sunday. But now it's not so much business. It's kind of things that interest me, like going on like masterminds with friends, learning more about cryptocurrency and learning about other things where it's just more fun stuff for me as well. It's not always the same thing. It's more fun. What else do I want to do? Listen to podcasts and things that are still developing me as a person, but it's different. It's not so, I wouldn't consider that as work. I think they consider that as fun stuff. So yeah, I think at the start, when you're starting off, you're definitely going to be out of balance. It's a good thing. Remember that it's a good thing to be out of sync with the normal work-life balance. As you grow, as your business grows, as you're reaching your goals, you can absolutely, look to outsource some of the things that are taking up your time, get other people to do things. You could use virtual assistants. So we have a VA that's based in the Philippines. She's amazing. She does all of our customer service side of things on Amazon, as well as, our own support mailboxes and a whole load of other tasks that she does as well. And it's just about outsourcing, getting back your time. And then you can actually afford to, go and have fun with your friends or have the weekend to chill out, knowing that you've had a successful week and somebody else is taking care of things, so you don't have to.
For sure. And I really resonate with that as well, Harks, in terms of you work in the weekends and you have that feeling of getting ahead. Like, most are working like a 5-day week. I know Elon Musk is very big on that. Like if you work, twice as much as your competitors, you're going to get there twice as fast. But burnout is a very real thing. I think because people throw that term around quite loosely, like, oh, I'm burnt out, when they're just a bit tired. Burnout is a real thing where your brain will begin to stop you from being able to do this, and you will actually not be able to focus.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Dan. Like I experienced this last year. I last August, so just over a year ago, I was struggling to make decisions. I doubted myself. I started thinking, what is going on here? Like why? Before I used to follow like my gut instinct. You kind of like get it. Like when something like is a problem or something you need to think of quite quickly. On my day, I can think of a solution very quickly. Like just tell me the problem, I'll find a solution. Like, and it could be a really complicated thing. If it's something I have to work out, and I could just find a solution there and then. When you're burnt out, it takes you so long, and you still don't find the answer, and you're like, that used to take me 10 minutes, and you're just not the person you are anymore, So Yeah, it's a real thing. Burnout is a real thing.
100%. My brother and I actually went go-karting this last weekend, uh, and it was so much fun doing something like that again, because we've really been grinding. And just to forget, with something like that, that's pretty intense, and it depends on you as a person. But I need something like that, which takes my complete focus. Like, I cannot be thinking about something else while, racing a go-kart. Like, and it was so freeing. Afterward, I felt like just to be able to forget about business for a bit has been so good. And so I think everyone should build that in. Someone would not call you balanced, like the normal person might still not call you balanced, but do have an outlet. Have something that you do at least once a week that is different from your business, just so you can preserve your thinking and your concentration, and get away from it for a bit.
I just want to add on to the balance thing as well, work-life balance. I think there's a time and place for it as well. Like I said, I still stick to what I said at the like starting business. You need to kind of be out of balance to be in balance, I guess, to balance your business. But I think there's a time and place for it as well. Like I can easily right now say I will never work the weekends again, and that's a decision I will make if me and Kabir are happy with that, and we could just say that. But I feel that we're coming up to our busy period now. I would absolutely say to my friends, I'm not meeting up this weekend, and just block out all my diary for the next 2 months, 2.5 months till we're into December, and just say I'm not doing it unless be invited to that this weekend. I'll be invited to a wedding, which close family friend. I'm not going to say no to that. That's a very memorable day. But if we're just going to the pub with friends, I would say, listen, guys, I want to get on top of things because this is going to be the biggest month I've ever had in business. It's going to be the most life-changing. I'm pretty sure I can sacrifice a little bit of a drink up and being hungover the next day. And listen, now we're over 30 now, just over 30. So the hangovers are pretty bad, especially when you drink quite a bit. So they don't last a day like they used to. They last several days. So do I really want that into my working week? Not really. Especially with the how critical the next couple of months are going to be. I'm happy to be out of balance again. I'm happy to wake up extra earlier, work, sacrifice a few things that I would have normally done, some Netflix TV series or something like that, like an hour or two there just to work a bit extra, work a bit on more in the weekend, just to be out of balance. Because I know if I do that and I put that time in, I'll achieve so much more, especially now that it's so critical. Every day is so critical now.
Harks, it's really cool to talk about this stuff, number one, but number two on this platform, because I have the exact same things where I had to stop doing certain things or maybe not attend that event with friends or, as you're saying, go to the pub, do those things. And what I think is also quite important for people to know who are starting and who might have to do that, it won't really be a choice sometimes, is that the people who matter will always be there. You know what I mean? The important ones who matter are not going to mind if you need to take time to complete your goals, to go for what you want in life. And those that do, that mind, well, maybe you need to reevaluate that anyway. But just something I wanted to mention, because I was very happily surprised by that. Like, people don't mind if they, and they start to know you, that's how you operate, that's what you do. But you will begin to appear as a different individual. And that's just the path that you're taking. And then Harks, lastly, just on purpose, I think will really sum this up well. But we're talking so much about business, etc. What is our purpose as people?
Yeah, it's quite a deep question, and it is a bit of a switch up to talk about business. But I've heard various people mention, various things. I listen to quite good podcasts which touch on this. Is one of the questions that normally gets raised. But I think the purpose of life is just to be happy. Life is so unique. You got to think about how we actually got here and how unique the situation is. And I feel that the happiness is probably the most important thing. That's why we do everything we do. That's why we eat such a good a meal that we're looking forward to, go to restaurants, because we want to feel happy, we want to feel satisfied, hanging out with mates, we want to feel that happiness. the reason we go to work is so we can, obviously career is one thing, but at the end of the day, would we go to work and focus on our career if we didn't get a paycheck at the end of the day? I don't think we would. So again, we're chasing the money. Once you have the money, once you're fortunate enough to have a substantial amount of money, what are you looking for? You're going to spend that money to chase happiness, so things that make you feel good. You do some retail shopping and you just do it to feel good. Buy nice clothes to feel good. It's happiness, which that's what we're trying to chase. So I guess happiness is, to sum it up, that's what we're all searching for. So that's what I would say the purpose is. But I feel that, just to get a bit more deeper, and sometimes I do like getting a bit deep. There's a one book or podcast I listened to, Chimp Paradox, and there was one bit where the guy is talking about, just imagine you're on your deathbed and you got children and grandchildren, and one of your grandchildren comes up to you, and at this point that your time is almost up, and they come up to you, they're young, their grandchildren are young, and they say, could you give me some advice of how to live life, or could you write down something which I can keep for the rest of my life with me, so when I'm older I can always look back at it and say, this is how you would have done things if you could. What do most people say? You got to think about this on your deathbed. Lots of things don't really matter. Like the money doesn't really matter. The things that you own don't really matter. All you care about is like, is my health good enough? Can I get through what I'm going through? Do I still have a chance? But if you know that you're certainly going to die, then you're basically, what would you tell your younger self? Or what do you tell your grandchild? You'll say, don't take life too seriously. Try to have as much fun as you can, laugh as much as you can. When things get really crappy at work, don't take it too personally. When you have an argument with somebody, don't take it too personally, like see their side of things, but just enjoy life. Like, life's so precious. You don't know which day is guaranteed. You could wake up and something could happen. You could have some really bad news about yourself, or you could get, as the saying goes, hit by a bus. You just never know what's going to happen, right? So you'll probably give that advice to your younger self, or a younger version of you, to say, just enjoy life as much as you can. And I think that's probably what it comes down to. Enjoy life, be happy. My granddad used to say, be happy, don't worry. So yeah, I'm trying to live that lifestyle as well. I know it's a bit tough when it comes to business. You have to really dedicate to it, but I have a bigger why. I have a bigger purpose why I'm doing business, and why I'm trying to do what I'm doing from a brand level, but also, from a business level as well. And that day will come where I do have that complete freedom in life, hopefully sooner rather than later, and, complete freedom over my time, money and choices I could do in life. And then that's when my real purpose will really shine, in terms of, enjoying every single day, having full control over whatever I want to do, and just really enjoying it to the max. And I also feel that, if you can make an impact to people's lives, if that's helping people, like how you do, Dan, in terms of coaching and helping and sharing valuable content to people, I think this is a massive thing in life. But also, helping vulnerable people, which is one of my big purposes as well. Homeless people that need housing, quality housing, and also, just like world hunger as well. If I could kind of impact people's lives that don't have much, then absolutely, I feel that fits into your happiness as well. Because I know, like Tony Robbins says, giving back it brings a lot of happiness. The more you give, the more you get. And I know if you're searching for happiness, you can make other people happy. The more happy and fulfilled you're going to be yourself. So I think that fits nicely into purpose.
I would add that sometimes it happens by mistake, and you just have to start and go for it. Like, even I look at my business, like what I get the most fulfillment now from is creating content like this and speaking to people like yourself and hearing their stories and teaching what I have learned. And like, I never thought I would be a decent teacher, but some people have said that they like the way I teach. So you kind of just have to roll with everything. And sometimes it starts to make more sense, and you start to gain even more fulfillment out of what you do, or end up doing something, just on the side, which is a bit different but related. So, but I love what you said. And I've also loved this podcast, this interview, because it's been so raw. I love that you don't have like a fancy background like mine. Like, it just shows how it is. You're in your room, you're working away. That's how it is for people.
Absolutely. Like, for people that can watch it in video, my bed's behind me. I wake up, I go sleep there. I wake up, this is my desk. I've got there's boxes here. There's Amazon boxes. I'm inspecting a few sets. I'm doing various things. I'm working here. This is where I spend most of my day. And you have to stay motivated. How do you do that? And you know, I don't normally wear a shirt. I only wear a shirt for this. I'm normally like way more chilled out. You know, my shorts and t-shirt. You know, are just really comfortable. But this you know, I don't have a fancy office. Not that I don't really need one. You know, keep costs low, but also it's just so much more convenient just to work here and get things done.
Well, Harks, I've really loved this. Thank you so much for joining. And for everyone watching, listening, check out the description below. You guys can find Vemacity there. Remember, you're probably going to need a gin product or gift very soon for Christmas. But check them out if you want to support Harks and that brand, and probably a brand similar to what you are trying to build. You can also check out their Instagram there and any other links to learn more from Harks. But really enjoyed this one. I actually would love to have Harks co-host with me when I'm back in the UK. But do let me know. Drop me a comment below. What was your favorite lesson from this? Remember to subscribe, click like, and thank you again so much, Harks.
Yeah, absolutely looking forward to co-hosting a podcast with you as well here in the UK. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we could add a lot of value to people, getting some good, deep conversations about various topics. I know we didn't get a chance to cover today, so I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks again, Dan. I really enjoyed this.
Awesome. I'll catch you soon, Harks. And thank you all for watching and listening.